So sort of lift up the veil, or lift up the alarm of consciousness and ring it eternally in the Akashic ears. That sort of represented that a she-wolf was merited her dysplasia, and might sound or seem funny to one who is unlearned or not mastered enough to see or hear one going through all these sorts of life fragments and pigments of different changes in their reality and numbering sort of parasensual or paramental frames of reality. It's not to be in the right mind to have an imagination, and one will always wonder whose imagination we're actually entering to deliver the masterpiece. So there are good things in the world, and we come alive because of this, and no one wants to experience the dead, no one wants to lose their lives, and so the nature of the parasite is the beta gamma reaction, whereby radium and helium and potassium saturates, and radicals actually ionize in this photoscopic or what's known as the first epsilon pi, or the first infinite epsilon, and that was another version of pi that was so conduit and conjunct to the beta gamma reaction that it made the waking reality seem like an in-body experience, which was convulsed or convoluted by phase of reality in which we shaped or we lived. And it is understood that on your birthday, or the world or everybody begins to share their love for you and share their good experiences with you, and that is the potasmic bigamete, or the bigatrate, and the bigatmate, sorry, and that is sort of turning in of the inner eye into the lowest part of the body, and to actually experience what is within. And it is better to be a multitude until you're alone, and that is actually reversed, because when you're alone you get to master the world, and multitude only soldier you on enough to till you get your own mind, where they begin to struggle with you for it. Once you're thirsty, no amount of water will be able to quench your thirst. And the demon Astaroth, the god Iganage, and the consciousness of a Delphino. Water means, crazy as it might sound, or as crazy as it sounds, there's still enough space for everybody. And there's a sort of physical pollution when the map, or the consciousness map, is not radiated in the most radical way or version of its own epitomization. And so you deliver a word, and that sort of seems like an interpretation or an intervention between the divine and the lower schemes of devolution and consciousness, but it's more like a copy of the whole ascension. But it's much less or much valuable than that. And you can say that the message is like the latitude and the cross section of the universe, or the interscoping of the 60 version of time. And time may have infractions or may incur different depths, but it's the true test that we do not pass. The true tests, as the universe goes by, I comply. As it is getting bigger, it is getting smaller. We do not experience death. It only depends on the size of the brain at work. Wake up now, or ever be eternally dead. You see, the numbness and coldness associated with death. Should I point out that you cannot outrun your own thoughts, and you cannot foretell a coming disaster. So all foreseen futures are deterministic, and all manner of materials are used to make magic. Perfection, that's the want of the soul. Who can control the wings of a butterfly, and maketh him do what thou wish? To be chosen is not to be taken for granted, but to be chosen second time, that's an opening. We don't love to be played with, but they love to play. These kids of Mother Nature, touching life by the blade, slashing a butterfly as the wafts pass. Ready for the UFOs? They come and go every night, and all through the days they go and see, playing the skullduggery and the blood drudgery upon the wombats. You realize that the whole world is material and cannot help. Being spiritual means waking up to the one who enters the mirror, the never-ending thought form that is still here in the ever-present cosmic moment of now. There is no drawing of where you're going and where you'll be on your face, so it is useless to look for your feet in the mirror. The system extends its lonely, miserable hands to reach for the gift of the gods, but know it now that there cannot be a tomorrow without a yesterday. As such, there is no proliferation without meditation, and as there is balance everywhere, where can be a place for practice magic. The world watches when you're hurt, so watch what you say when you're offended. Oh, Mother Universe, you give your power away and go to sleep. Don't fight, relax. My cup of grace is filled and overflowing. Life isn't workable math, and whatever you do will return to you in no time. Every confirmation of something might look like magic. The crave for thinking. What can you do for others if not what they do you and ask of you? Like the absolute neutrality of a naked dog. A snake can go for days unnoticed in your house. You see, flies we wear like spiders, and some thoughts are just useless. Monkey toe, hard is it to join a new class with your old school of thoughts. In order to heal the hurt, you don't add more hurt. The butterfly, so gentle a creature. The true tests we do not pass. Relax and hesitation. That's all it takes to save a soul, but also to lose your magic. Because of the space between the dead and the living, don't want to come dead, and dead don't want alive. And from the same thing, not only the mother feels pains of birth, also the baby feels the pains of initial birth and growth. Acknowledging death. The point is not to live life, but to be true. The matrix as unreal as anything. Puts and swabs, as if by some sort of grand design, this exists. Lizards, they are nodding their heads to the beat. So I said to the master, I'm not a monkey, I'm a civilian. And so it continues, and the raft of the shaft continues to shift, and poison of the lions, or the maleficent user begins to take its knoll, or to fade its knoll, and sort of to break a knoll. So what you do is imperfection, the beauty that lies in one venerating or one venerable moment of meekness and silence. That's so this obviously chaotic and masochistic universe. So you want to be the god, you want to be first emblem, you want to be the one that is what was and thou shall to come and is to be forevermore, and you want to be the names of the eternal Elah, and the beauty on the earth is what personifies this mythical quest. And the answer is quenching your thirst. The worst thing that accompanies thirst is hunger, and that leads to pain and suffering and destruction and so on. All these human values are just questionable, if not fallacious at best. And the denominator is what felicitates completion of the complex set of fractions, and it enumerates the accord of the entire fraction, and it makes it one whole, because you divide 2 by 2 and that's 1, you divide 4 by 4 and that's still 1, you divide 9 by 9 and it's still any number, you divide infinity by infinity and that's 1. So the confusion lies in when you go thinking through the zeros, and the zeros still become 0. So math is actually really simple if you look at the logarithmic integral, and that is one of the Euler's identity was nominated one of the best math formulas, and so you get to a point where you have to walk out of the forest and step on your toes carefully. How exhausting it is to have laid a conversation in front of someone and having achieved the result of impossibility or nothing, or certain impossibility. So the Buddhist monks, the Chinese Buddhist monks and Taoists, they believe that an enlightened soul can search for himself and find it after a long senseless quest through Dharma and through the wheels of samsara, and come to realization of nirvana. But that's just the shamanic fight, the fight of shamans. And so reality presents itself as a bunch of trees and animals and fungus and fungi and mycelium that are dying to be heard and dying to be seen. And unlike the living organisms that can be seen, and they are making their presence felt. And so antimatter and the inorganic world and the components of dark energy and dark matter, we do talk about a lot. And so you can be in a stressful position and thinking that life could be much more better if you had been smoking a roll of pots, and that is actually wonderful, because the grind for the grime and the slime and the time in nature and the eyes of the cat and the eyes of the dragon that look at you from behind, and that need to be buried within the sands of time underground and the endless mantle and the crust of soil, and lay them under the rock, and beneath they begin to grow and germinate in different types of crystalline images and psychedelic characters, and they live underground too in mystic forms and in the waters as different elements, and look at the eyes of the horizon and the eyes of the so you see a rotating cube, and try to and it's falling rotating cube, and as it falls you try to pick it up, but you don't know whether to pick it up anti-clockwise or clockwise, and the dilemma begins to present itself, because vertically is just not going to work, and horizontally is actually a statement that is not magical. So the whole Tartarus musical and the inflammatory spectacle begins to show itself and showcase itself as a brand obligate, and how acute the circle of pi, how acute the angle of pi is, and so we rely on our own ways to achieve mission, and it doesn't have to be a fight with the materialist and the transcendental. So age-old consciousness debates between the left-hand path and the right-hand path are all just illusionary measures to come off your way, and or to take you off your way, and why you ask the question, come across the answer. It's a really interesting answer, because who you are is the unnegatable infinity, and the indivisible formula for mathematics, and the calculation that was never solved. The great debate, and so the bird speaks, and the pigeon hoots and howls, and the crow cows, and the macaw and the cuckoo and the cockatoo, they fly and fight with a kite, and fight with the albatross, and fight with the falcon and the eagle, and the dwarfs and giants, and the mystical orcs and elves to plow the fields of the magical wonderland at a point in time. So you're looking for yourself, and you don't want the machines to find you, but you want the religious you're to find or dissolve you. And that is nobody wants to dance in front of the camera, and nobody wants to sit in front of the camera. It's a really tiring and boring quest of first initial enthusiasm and condescending mutiny, and that is the eye of the camera is never complimenting, and it's never appreciative, and so we live in a simulation in a matricular world, and the faster or the sooner you realize the higher egalitarian oligarchy and Luciferian color scheme and color spectrum manipulators don't you be or leave by or pass you by. One way or another, you're going to have to shoot that animal. You're going to have to fight with your food. That little fly that keeps pestering you, you're going to have to swat it. You're going to have to, if the ants invade right now, and if the Lord's last revelation or the revealed plague begins to come true, and the ants actually begin to invade and show their true invasive nature, and that'll be a really unforeseen event, but it was actually foretold. So the last unit of pi, and the air you breathe, air you share with those around you or those closest to you, and the air you take from a distant space or the distant universe and the dimension beyond, and the energy from the active or the alive or the living. These are what humanity means, and to be human actually entails. So you do a spinning roundhouse kick kick, and you do a forward front kick, and a hind kick, and a twist, and an uppercut, and do a series of kicks, and more punches follow, and the fight begins to become really thrilling and engulfing, and so you can't fight with death, and death is your worst enemy, but your best friend. So this is the fight of life, and the death of a master is another master, and so actually 79 centigrade, or the Sentinel Battalion, or the Intergalactic Clone Troops, and Zeta Reticulan drones, Alpha Centauri overlords, and the Council of Six, and the Arcturian Council of Nine, and all these interlocking forces that try to manipulate with the Omega and the omni-advertent DNA strand. And so that's it. Reality is what it is, and it is what it is. Because nobody can let you go for having fought with them, for fighting with them. Everyone wants their bite and a piece of the pie, and a piece of the little piece. So the roach hangs on, and the roach goes round, and until it's burnt out and dies, and it's over. Love in disguise, love in the air. That is you now know the metaphor, physics, around philosopher of who's to win and who more, who harvests the most ripening. These were the tasks of the Lord in the past, but nowadays it's more like the logging in of a user and his activity on the web. So that's dangerous. Know where you place your spirits, and the spirit only allows for translucence. Calculate your way. Be who you are. One way or another, you're gonna have to do that. Divine feminine calls on the divine masculine. Evokes. He feels the strength in the eternal void as the calculating, conscious, logical drive for memory. The simulation wakes up and calls on the divine feminine, the divine mother answers.